rocking around the Christmas tree. Have a happy holiday.
So, I'm Sam.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nadia.
And we're from the television's production department at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Wishing you a Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
Season's greetings.
And I all booty hand.
Me too.
All booty hand. All booty hand.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know?
It is Thursday, December the 22nd, 2022. Good morning. I'm Pearson Bowen. This is the CBC Morning Report. One of the country's leading non-governmental relief agencies is reporting this morning of potentially falling short of its donations target this year, which is their main fundraiser for their philanthropic ventures for the entire 2023. The Salvation Army is reporting that with only 3 days to go before their Christmas Day cutoff, it's still 20% off of its target. Well, joining us now to discuss this is Divisional Business Manager of the Salvation Army, Sherma Evelyn. Ms. Evelyn, good morning to you.
Good morning.
In real dollar sense, tell us what your target was and where we are now.
Our target is $750,000, and at this time we are at $626,000. This is 20% less than what we had anticipated.
So given that, how does that impact on your ability to carry out the work, the charitable work that you do as a Salvation Army?
Well, that $750,000 is money that we will use throughout the year. And if we will try our best to make that target by the end of December. Also saying that is that we have our kettles out still, and we will have our mail appeal, and persons are still sending in funds. So we have strong belief that we will make that target. We will get there. We're not sure how we will get there, but we will get there, and that it will be a struggle if we don't make that target, or even above that target, because it means then that during the year there's some services that we wouldn't be able to reach as many people as we usually do during the year.
And these people which you reach out to, who are what?
But sorry, I didn't hear that question clearly.
I'm asking the work that you do, who is impacted by this if you are not able to deliver services that you offer?
Well, the less fortunate, most of all the less fortunate families, that includes men, women, children, persons that we're able to reach out to during the year, includes schools also, where we assist vulnerable families with breakfast. We have back to school program, we have our feeding program, we have our men's hostel, we have our daycares, we have mentorship programs. There are a number of programs that we carry out across the island. So not meeting that target will impact us in various ways.
So now, knowing that in these last couple of days before the Christmas Day cutoff, what is the strategy to ensure that you are able then to meet or surpass the target?
Well, our strategy is that we encourage Barbadians to keep giving. When they see the red kettle, give. Some persons have received envelopes in newspaper. They have received envelopes directly mailed to them. And those persons who have received envelopes, every small amount adds up. So, and some persons have even put $5, $2, whatever in those envelopes and sent back to us. We encourage persons to give. We encourage Corporate Barbados to keep giving. And I must say that this year Corporate Barbados has given, and we appreciate it very much. and it has impacted how much we have raised so far, and we do appreciate those who have given so far.
And so the appeal to every Barbadian today, when you see the kettle or if you receive an envelope, to give, because your work, your donation goes to help those who are in need. Shirley
Yes,
Evelyn, Divisional Business Manager.
and the thing that we do is that not only do we accept monetary donations, but we also take in kind. The clothing, the furniture, that some persons are changing their furniture, but the one that they're getting rid of is still in good condition. We have a thrift store. We were able to put in those things in the thrift store, send them at minimal cost, and use that funds back into our program. So even with that, you may not be able to give financially, but you're changing something else. You have some clothes that you want to get rid of once in good condition. We can use that. Someone can use that. And a number of persons come into the thrift store, and a number of persons benefit from this clothing free of cost. And at the thrift store, it's minimal cost. And we have women who go into interviews. They're able to get clothes to go to the interview, and some that have come back and said, "Thank you, I'm able to get a job because you helped outfit me for that interview."
Yes. Well, we hear your appeal. We hope that Barbadians respond to that appeal as well. Divisional Business Manager with the Salvation Army, Shirley Evelyn, thank you so much for joining us this morning on The Morning Report. We'll take a break here, but coming up, an update on the local COVID protocols and President Putin to increase the frontline troops in Ukraine.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vv, and together we will travel the world.
The CBC That Made Us, featuring programming from yesteryear, which impacted the lives of many Barbadians. Join me, Sean Green, taking you back to some of your favorite shows from the late 70s, 80s, and 90s during the series The CBC That Made Us, every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. and repeated on Fridays, 11:30 a.m. The CBC That Made Us.
Enjoy movies, soaps, dramas.
The human respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, currently wreaking havoc in the United States, is in Barbados. Chief Medical Officer, the Most Honorable Dr. Kenneth George, noted it's affecting people as he addressed a media conference at the Ministry of Health and Wellness yesterday.
We have found 5 cases of RSV, which has been in the news for the past 2 to 3 months. In the United States. Those have occurred in younger persons, and I would like to report that there are no untoward issues with respect to those individuals.
In other health alerts, the Chief Medical Officer also revealed that all COVID-19 protocols have been lifted. He called it the culmination of an extra-long journey, but the stakeholders have learnt a lot over the past 2.5 years and have made the decision after careful consultation and study. However, he called on Barbadians to remain vigilant and to be their brother's keeper.
We still will take all precautions. We have not at one moment dismantled our COVID response. And indeed, we are acutely aware that we are also in the season of flu. And we are also keeping our attention on that. And I had recently reported to the press with respect to flu season.
Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Anton Best says even though fewer people have been coming forward to be tested, there has been a slight increase in COVID-19 cases locally, with Omicron continuing to be the dominant variant. He revealed that in the week of December 12th to 18th, there were 318 cases compared with 317 the week before.
When we look at the proportion of positive PCR tests in Barbados, we see that the current positivity rate is 22% in that week that I mentioned earlier, compared to 20% the previous week. They are effective, which is one of the key metrics to determine the rate of growth, is essentially like a multiplication factor. So we want this number to always be less than 1, so the epidemic is not growing. But we are seeing that they are effective is just over 1. So the epidemic has been growing over the last couple of weeks.
According to Dr. Best, there was one more death this past week, bringing the total to 569. He's also reporting an increase in the number of COVID-19 related hospitalizations.
We see that there was an increase in the past 2 weeks from 11 cases per day to an average of 19 cases per day. And over the last 3 weeks, the average is approximately 10 persons a day being admitted to hospital. Of the 19 admissions, these that I mentioned previously, this represents about 6% of all of the cases that have been detected. In terms of occupancy levels at the Harrison's Point facility, occupancy remains relatively low. With on the 18th of December, we had 25 persons in Harrison's Point, and this represented 13% of the current available beds.
In other news now, United States President Joe Biden has welcomed his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky to the White House, while Washington confirmed it will transfer the Patriot air defense missile system to Ukraine as part of a $1.85 billion military aid package. Sitting alongside Zelensky in the Oval Office on Wednesday, Biden pledged to support Ukraine to repel the Russian invasion and pursue a just peace. The meeting comes as the situation in the capital, Kyiv, continues to be dire.
The situation in Ukraine is critical at the moment. After 10 months of this war, the country arguably facing some of the biggest challenges that it has so far. I mean, let's look at, for example, these ongoing bombardments of the country's energy infrastructure, these electrical plants. Around about 1,000 kamikaze drones and cruise missiles have targeted and put out electricity across the country. Millions of people still suffering rolling blackouts and having to endure increasingly cold winter temperatures. President Zelensky last week said that he estimated that the damage to these electrical plants could cost up to $1.5 billion to repair. And that was before 2 more big bombardments of kamikaze drones and cruise missiles hit more targets. Then, of course, you've got what seem to be increasing fears amongst many in the military establishment here about what they describe as potentially a new Russian offensive in the coming weeks and months, a so-called winter offensive. The head of Ukraine's armed forces, Valery Zaluzhny, only about a week ago, saying, in his words, that he had no doubt that the Russians would have another go at Kyiv. That brings into the equation the northern neighbor Belarus. We saw Putin there for the first time in more than 3 years going to Minsk, the Belarusian capital, a couple of days ago, speaking there with the Belarusian president, Alexander Lukashenko. Now, Lukashenko has repeatedly said that he will not involve Belarusian troops on the ground in Ukraine, but of course Belarus was used as a staging point for the invasion on the 24th of February. We know that there are ongoing joint military exercises being conducted around that border area. The Ukrainians in the last 24 hours announced that they have boosted security and defensive positions along that border. And then, of course, as you mentioned, listening to some of those voices coming from the east, that heavy fighting in towns like Bakhmut, which has been described as nothing less than a meat grinder, a terrible war of attrition there. We understand thousands of Ukrainian soldiers have been killed and Russians in the fight for that town, a town of strategic importance because it basically, if it was taken by the Russians, it would give them an easier route towards towns like Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. We haven't seen really the kind of gains and the momentum being maintained by the Ukrainian forces that they had back in September and October, when there was their counter-offensive and they retook control of tens of thousands of square kilometers around the city of Kharkiv and Izium, and of course they liberated the southern city of Kherson. Things have pretty much ground to a halt. So, as I say, this visit by Zelensky to Washington for these talks, for this aid, comes at a vital and critical time.
Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin says the Russian army must learn from and fix the problems it suffered in Ukraine, and he promises to give the military whatever it needs to prosecute the 10-month-long war.
Meeting defence officials on Wednesday, Putin insisted there are no financial limits on what his government would provide to the military. The Kremlin says there's no chance of peace talks with Ukraine as long as Western countries continue to supply it with arms.
Our army and military capabilities are increasing constantly, every day. This process will, make no mistake, be sped up.
Moscow reacted to the announcement with a statement from the Kremlin spokesperson. He said Russia is not expecting any positive results from Zelensky's visit to the United States. He also added that providing more weapons to Ukraine will prolong the conflict. The spokesperson also added that Russia's position remains the same, condemning the United Nations support to Ukraine, particularly with weapons, which might result in a direct confrontation with Moscow. Regarding Vladimir Putin meeting with leaders and commander of the defense ministry, he focused on the so-called special operation in Ukraine, and they discussed the results of the conflict. Putin accused NATO and the United States in particular of trying to weaken Russia through the prolonged conflict in Ukraine. Putin said Moscow will do its best to increase its military capabilities. Putin also added Moscow is ready with nuclear matter in order to maintain the stability of Russia.
All right, here's what's coming up this morning on Morning Barbados when you join me at 6:30. It will be a whole slew of exceptional young people today, one of who is coming from Trinidad and Tobago, who is now doing law here at the KFL campus. But first started out wanting to be in pediatrics. What's caused the change and what is their passion now as they pursue their new venture in life? We'll also meet a Bajan New Yorker who is passionate about criminal and human rights laws and what caused that as well. We'll also today meet a 19-year-old Barbadian composer, orchestrator and arranger, loving music and doing very, very well in his chosen endeavor. So all that and a whole lot more straight ahead at 6:30 on Morning Barbados. We're going to take a break here, but coming up after the break, flexi work hours are at an end for public officers in Barbados.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League.
Flexible work arrangements policy for public officers is coming to an end, according to a circular from the Acting Director General of Human Resources in the Ministry of the Public Service. Come January the 3rd, 2023, public officers are required to report to their physical workplace. The workers have been thanked for the work done over the past 3 years that have helped Barbados navigate the crises that impacted the island. That circular acknowledged that while all threats have not fully subsided, the time has come for a return to a more traditional work arrangement. The flexi-time and staggered work options established under the policy will remain in effect for those officers requiring alternatives. As government moves to build up the renewable energy sector, it's continuing to ensure the legislative aspects reflect the needs or address any concerns. Leading off debate of the Electric Light and Power Amendment Bill in the Upper House yesterday, Energy Minister Senator Lisa Cummins spelled out the changes and the improvements that follow.
What we have done here is to establish the mechanism that did not previously exist in Section 5.4 of the legislation, the principal legislation as amended in 2019, to provide for interested parties to object. Now, why was this done? And I have had an opportunity since joining the ministry a few weeks ago to meet with all of the agencies that fall under this legislation, whether it was the Barbados Light and Power, whether it was the Fair Trading team, whether it was the Ministry of Energy team, whether it was the advisory team and the consulting team. We have had the opportunity to hear how the legislation is supposed to interact, not just with this, but the broad energy agenda of the country.
In her contribution to that debate, Independent Senator Dr. Christina Hines questioned the efficacy and timing of the amendment. Noting a new energy framework is on the horizon, she suggested that all changes could be reflected in that document at one time.
This amendment does not deal with the supply of electricity. It does not deal with how electricity is being generated. It is dealing with the licensing process and is really dealing with representations and objections being made during the licensing process and what those persons who make representations or object can or cannot see. They cannot see things that are confidential if the minister, after consulting with the committee, agrees that there are certain things that should remain confidential. That is all this amendment does. And if this is such a small thing in a way, could it not wait? So this is more about us, as Senator Drake said, coming here over and over to amend a piece of legislation.
Intended to be extradited to the United States, where he faces fraud charges, according to an affidavit his lawyer read at a court hearing in the Bahamas. It paves the way for the founder of the bankrupt FTX cryptocurrency exchange to be flown to the U.S. as early as Wednesday.
At a hearing in the Bahamas, Sam Bankman-Fried's lawyer said his client was anxious to leave the island. Bankman-Fried is facing multiple criminal charges, accused of committing one of the biggest financial frauds in U.S. history. Kristen Salumi is joining us from New York on the story. What happens next, Kristen?
Well, the former billionaire and FTX founder faces 8 federal charges when he arrives here in New York and a possible life sentence. The charges include securities and wire fraud, money laundering, and also a political campaign finance violation. All of this to say that under U.S. law, once he arrives here, he has 24 hours to appear before a judge where he will be formally facing those charges. He'll enter a plea, and at that time the judge can decide whether or not to allow Bankman-Fried to be free on bail while he awaits his trial. Given that the 30-year-old MIT graduate had so many financial resources at his disposal, it's likely that he'll be considered a flight risk, and that will be a complicated process to iron out. It could take more than a day, but he will be expected to appear in court within 24 hours of his arrival on these charges, which the Securities and Exchange Commission here has described the crypto exchange that he founded as a brazen fraud.
Just remind us once again, Kristen, how we actually got here.
Yes, well, it was on December 9th that the United States filed charges against Bankman-Fried, who was living in the Bahamas. That's where the crypto exchange was based. It was standard for him to appear in court there. It wasn't clear if he was going to be fighting his extradition charges to come to the United States. But as he told the judge, his lawyer told the judge in court that he was anxious to return to the United States and to try to make the customers whole. It's estimated that he cost them $1.8 billion, and the charges are very serious. The current CEO who took over the company testified before Congress that the company was a complete failure of corporate control, that there were no proper record keeping, all of these questions which Bankman-Fried will have to answer for in the coming months.
Thousands of ambulance workers in Britain began a one-day strike on Wednesday, a day after nurses walked out, with unions and the government swapping accusations of blame for putting lives at risk.
Ambulance workers have joined a long list of public sector strikes driven to industrial action because of low pay in the face of a crippling cost of living crisis. In this sector, perhaps more than most, low pay has life and death consequences.
It's not just about pay. Pay is one of the reasons why the ambulance service is in such a state, because the government hasn't invested properly in the workforce and people are leaving in their droves. And it's one of these cumulative things. Pay isn't good, people leave, it means those who are left behind are under even more pressure.
And too often the ultimate price is paid by patients. According to NHS England, the number of patients who died while being transferred to hospital in an ambulance more than doubled from 40 in 2021 to 93 in the past 12 months. The number of patients who suffered severe harm in ambulances tripled to 154, and more than 5,000 patients came to some sort of harm on their way to hospital. Like their colleagues, the nurses, no ambulance worker wants to risk patient care by going on strike. But what they'll tell you here is that the ambulance service has been risking patient care for a long time. What they want is better pay that leads to better staffing levels, that leads to better care. But as with the nurses, the government is refusing to negotiate beyond a pay offer of 4%, well below inflation at almost 11%.
I think we're held together by the goodwill of our clinicians and NHS workers across the country, but it's unsustainable. It is a crisis, and without intervention from this government, we've got serious concerns for the future of our NHS and health of the nation in general.
The ambulance workers say they'll win this fight, even if it means more strikes in the new year. But an improved pay offer, they say, will only be a small step towards saving the National Health Service they're proud to represent.
Sports now. The Guardians will meet the Settlers in this morning's final of the BIM 10 tournament after both teams won their semi-finals at the 3Ws Oval yesterday. In the first game, the Pelicans posted 117 for 7 off their 10, while the Guardians hunted it down, finishing on 120 for 7 in 9.4 overs.
Delivery was on his way as long as he collected it.
Wicket! And again, Jaron McAllister, he's been the go-to man all throughout the tournament. You have off spin in there as well. Just over the head of that mid-on fielder, inside the circle. Brathwaite being aggressive early. That is going a far way back. Mikhail Powell into the attack. Oh, that's glorious. Just picked up by Jonathan Drakes. Purchase off the surface. Down on one knee. Plays that sweep shot so well, Cheyenne Brathwaite. And all the way for 6 into the smaller side. Than we've seen into the attack. And big side or small side, it doesn't matter. When Cheyenne Brathwaite gets it out the middle, it'll travel. He has got this one though, Drakes. And into the smaller side, just too easy. This time should be taken. And is. Success for Pius Emilian after going for that maximum against Cheyenne Brathwaite. Who's set. Goes high, goes long, that's mammoth. And out of here.
Well, in the other semi-final, the Settlers defeated the Warriors by 15 runs after scoring 137 for 2 before restricting the Warriors to 122 for 5. That final will bowl off at 9:30 this morning. Now let's take a look at forecast conditions as recorded earlier at the Met Office of the Grant Lee Adams International Airport. At the moment, 26.5 degrees Celsius in Barbados under cloudy conditions, and the winds are coming from the east at 35 kilometers an hour. We expect a low tide at 20 minutes after 8 this morning, the second at 25 past 9 tonight. High tide is at 28 minutes to 3 this afternoon. Seas today moderate in open water with swells ranging from 1.5 to 2.5 meters and steady. Barbados today cloudy with sunny periods with the occasional brief scattered light to moderate shower and clearer skies in the afternoon. While tonight it should be partly cloudy with the occasional brief scattered light shower. And now we'll look at some international cities forecasts. And that's it for the Morning Report. I'm Pearson Bowen. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Thursday, December the 22nd, 2022. Sunday is Christmas Day. It is Thursday. Just want to make sure you get it right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Morning Barbados Today. My name is Pearson Bowen. I'm welcoming all of you everywhere. Thank you so much for joining us on our streams on YouTube and Facebook. As always, we thank you for interacting with us there. We thank you for waking up early to keep us company as well. It's Thursday. That means lots of inspiration, lots of encouragement, not just for the youth, but also for a lot of us who are a little bit older as well, as we meet some very young and enterprising, exceptional people today. One of who is a Barbadian composer, arranger, orchestrator. I mean, just outstanding, and is only 19 years old. We'll get to hear that story in just a little while. We'll also today be meeting a Barbadian New Yorker who is pursuing law and is an advocate, and a persistent advocate indeed, for rights of the humankind. And so we can't wait to interact with them as well. We'll also give you a chance to unscramble some Christmas words with us. I hope you've got your caps on today, because we're going to have a lot of fun where that's concerned. But I want to get started this morning by going first to one of our exceptional young people who is a part of the Let's cohort. And she is hailing from Trinidad and Tobago. Let's welcome this morning Jafia Noble. Jafia, good morning to you. I'm seeing your lips. I don't read lips very well, but Jafia is going to try. We're going to try to resolve that audio issue right there so that we can get to hear her in her voice, in her native tongue, as she speaks with us this morning. A very young one here who is from the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, here at KFIL, doing law as a second-year student. And I want to find out from her a little bit more about how her law degree matches what she wanted to do first, which is pediatrics. So I can't wait to connect with her in just a little while. We'll also today be meeting that very young, enterprising Barbadian who is out of the UK, who is doing some great work in music, passionate about orchestration. And, you know, I'm always encouraged when you see young people adopt music. It's such a discipline, whether it is performing through singing or performing through the playing of an instrument. The discipline that comes from that is beyond measure. And just yesterday, we introduced you to Operation Triple Threat and the auditions, which start on the 29th. But nonetheless, it just shows to you how the creative arts can really make a difference to who you are and who those individuals are as people, not just as an artist, but as an individual, and how they relate to society. Because we're building young people who offer fantastic value to our society and the arrangement of our society. I think we have it now. But before we get to Jafia to tell me, we're going to try to work that out in just a little bit. Let's head over now to Tatiana Scantlebury, who is also a part of the Let's cohort. Good morning to you, Tatiana.
Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning, Pearson.
How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you for asking. Are you also one of those who's rushing up and down getting ready for Christmas?
Yes, please. I am.
So what are you doing to prepare for the big holiday on this weekend?
Well, a lot of shopping. I did a lot of that earlier in the month, but right now we're
Yes.
still a little bit of last minute decorations, and cleaning up a bit. But other than that, that is all I'm doing right now.
All right. Now, you are a native New Yorker. You are of Barbadian descent. Both parents are Barbadians?
Just my father.
God, dear. It could have been your mother, too, but it's just your
I
father.
know.
And so, having just daddy as a Barbadian, what have you learned about Barbados?
Oh my gosh. I always say I'm a Barbadian at heart. He always calls me a half of Asian. But I know that Barbados is near and dear to me, and I know how to make some macaroni pie. So
Aha! Then you have touched the hearts of all Barbadians if you can make a macaroni pie. Indeed.
I've learned from the best.
Yes, you have, your father. And so here it is now. You are part of the Femlets cohort. How did that come about?
Sure. So I had the opportunity to learn about the Femlex cohort through our founder, Gabrielle Gay, and I had the opportunity to meet her during a youth forum that was held by the United Nations back in 2021. And this is an invite-only opportunity, so I was just really grateful to have that chance to have met her. And it was by the accent. I said, "Oh, you're Bayesian," and I said, "I'm a half of Bayesian. I have to connect with you." And through there, she invited me to join this amazing program.
And so having joined it, what are some of the benefits you think you've derived thus far?
Well, from the program, we've learned so much about entrepreneurship, and through that, I was able to really fancy the ideas of what it looks like to pursue law while also becoming an entrepreneur. And from these conversations and learnings, we were able to really learn how it's important to start your own business, and that starts with a passion. And I realized when you have a passion, you'll be able to begin anything. And just being able to take intentionally feedback from your peers while also joining other conversations to help you embark on a new journey when it comes to like starting a business.
You spoke about passion. One of your passions is really going after international criminal and human rights law. What about those two areas in particular make you so passionate?
So my journey to becoming a lawyer was sparked at a young age. And this was really when witnessing how the criminal justice system really impacts young people, and with more particularly within my community. And as I matriculated throughout university, I had the chance to really learn about global issues. And more extensively, I took a class that was based on comparative criminal justice, where I studied genocide and transnational crimes. And this class allowed for me to go to London to study abroad and really look at the criminal justice system there and also in the US. And this experience opened up my eyes just to the critical role of human rights and what that looks like both globally and domestically. And from that, I learned about the genocide in Rwanda, and that changed my entire trajectory. And I knew from that moment I wanted to become an international human rights lawyer, and specifically focusing on international crimes and women's rights.
And women's rights. Now, you know, human rights has no color or nationality. It's just human. And so, but nonetheless, the genocide that you saw in parts of Africa is one of the things that triggered it for you. And particularly women. Why women's rights in particular for you?
Well, I identified as a woman, and I realized specifically within the genocide in Rwanda, we saw how women really were able to uplift and uproot the country in itself after that. The war, the crimes had occurred. And it was through their parliamentary where they were really taking the lead to build back up the country. And that for me was really inspiring, empowering to know that they've went through all of these different forms of trauma, but were able to really uplift the country in itself. So that's something that really sparks my journey and my interest in both of these aspects.
You currently work with something known as Safe Passage Project. What services do you provide there?
Sure. So Safe Passage Project is a nonprofit, and we provide legal services to young people that are facing deportation. So it's for immigrant youth crossing the border. And right now we're providing pro bono support. So if you know anyone that is experiencing this in their young person, we provide that support to them.
You're challenged in the United States now with border crossings that are, you know, what they're terming to be unprecedented and the like. And as a consequence, there are people who suffer as a consequence of wanting to escape something else. How do you see the project which you serve with being able to add or help with that particular individual who find themselves trapped in that cycle?
Sure. So part of our role in providing pro bono support is that for the legal representative, they are helping the child along the way. Oftentimes, young people are not granted the access to the legal jargons in their cases, and that is what our pro bono support is providing. Our lawyers are there to help them and guide them throughout the way, show them that this process is, yes, it's daunting, but we're able to help them get into the country and provide them with the legal support that they need so that they can stay here.
Where are you pursuing your law degree? In the United States?
So, yes, and I am currently studying to become a law student. So I'm on still a journey.
You're on the journey still. Fair enough.
Yes, please.
And you said from a very young age, this was part of your passion. One can imagine, can't imagine, I can't. Because oftentimes you hear the story of young girls growing up wanting to be with dolls. They wanted to be in fashion. They wanted to be the next megastar on TikTok or wherever else. But here it is, you thought, no, that's not my life at all. So when you compare yourself with the other young girls like yourself, do you feel different?
No, not so much. I realize that everyone's passion and journey is different. I think for me, yes, you know, I was given the opportunity to see those different spaces, but I realized that when I had the opportunity to meet young people that are really impacted by the criminal justice system, that changed my perspective on a lot of things. And I wanted to ensure that I can help them. So I don't see myself as much different. I realize that we're all on a different journey and a different path, and I'm just here to inspire anyone that I come across.
Have you had that discussion with your parents, the discussion to pursue the path that you're taking? And if so, what kinds of responses did your Barbadian father give to you?
Sure. So my dad is very much proud of me. I think just having the opportunity to see me embark on this journey, he's always encouraging. Every time I'm talking about law or just human rights, or even when there's moments of me just doubting my next steps, he is right there in my corner telling me to move forward. And the same thing for my mom. She's ensuring that I am moving forward as well and making sure that holding me accountable. I think that's the best way to put it. They both ensure to hold me accountable when there's moments of self-doubt, when there's moments of just tiredness, or just ensuring that I'm not sure what my next steps are. They are by my side.
Have you ever visited Barbados?
Of course.
Talk to me. Tell me, how was it for you?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, I love Barbados. I was actually there about 2-3 years ago. But my family is still there, so that's second home to me.
And what about Barbadian food? Is that also good to your palate?
Oh my gosh, yes. So, more recently, I've learned how to make some cuckoo. Now, it was a disaster the first time around, but I've gotten better.
Well, you're better than me. I can't do it at all, but I love it at the same time as well. You're such an inspiration. You're quite a talent, and the Barbadian roots are shining through what you do, and your passion as well as you protect human rights for so many other people through your Safe Passage project and your future endeavors as well. Tatiana Scantlebury, it has been our tremendous pleasure meeting you this morning, and we want to encourage you to continue doing what you're doing, continuing being the light for many others as you continue to shine and make the world a brighter place as well. We wish you a very Merry Christmas, but we thank you for being an exceptional young people of the world, but most of all from Barbados. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you. Merry Christmas.
Likewise. All the best indeed. Tatiana Scantlebury, a New Yorker, Barbadian descent indeed, but a great person. We're going to take a break right here. We're coming back to meet more exceptional young people in just a moment.
It's the event to end the year. Q in the Community presents Q Dance. This Old Year's night at Highgate Bar, Dash Valley, St. George. Watch the fireworks, dance under the stars, or ring in the new year with your favorite bottle and friends in the table zone. Free Q Punch from 8 until 10 p.m. This Old Year's night, dress your best and head to Highgate Bar from 8 p.m. until you say when. It's a big people party. This Old Year's night, music by DJ King Scorpion, DJ Dr. Scotty, and more. Early bird tickets are available at $40 from Superstyle Shoe Shop Sky Mall at the corner of James and Roebuck Street and Highgate Bar.
Season's greetings from the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Rocking around the Christmas tree, have a happy holiday.
So, I'm Sam.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nadia. And we're from the Television's Production Department at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Wishing you a Merry Christmas
and a Happy New Year.
Season's greetings.
And I all body hand.
Me too.
All body hand.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
The CBC That Made Us, featuring programming from yesteryear which impacted the lives of many Barbadians. Join me, Sean Green, taking you back to some of your favorite shows from the late 70s, 80s, and 90s during the series The CBC That Made Us, every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. and repeated on Fridays, 11:30 a.m. The CBC That Made Us.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for our new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
It's the event to end the year. Q in the Community presents Q Dance. This Old Year's Night at Highgate Bar, Dash Valley, St. George. Watch the fireworks, dance under the stars, or ring in the new year with your favorite bottle and friends in the table zone. Free Q Punch from 8 until 10 p.m. This Old Year's Night, dress your best and head to Highgate Bar from 8 p.m. until you say when. It's a big people party. This Old Year's Night, music by DJ King Scorpion, DJ Dr. Scotty, and more. Early bird tickets are available at $40 from Super South Shoe Shop Sky Mall at the corner of James and Roebuck Street and Highgate Bar.
Season's greetings from the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Rocking around the Christmas tree, have a happy holiday.
So, I'm Sam.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nadia.
And we're from the television's production department at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Wishing you a Merry Christmas
and a Happy New Year.
Season's greetings.
And I all body hand.
Me too.
All body hand. All body hand.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. And together we will travel the world.
The CBC That Made Us, featuring programming from yesteryear, which impacted the lives of many Barbadians. Join me, Sean Green, taking you back to some of your favorite shows from the late 70s, 80s, and 90s during the series The CBC That Made Us, every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. and repeated on Fridays, 11:30 a.m. The CBC That Made Us.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for a new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
It's the event to end the year. Q in the Community presents Q Dance. This Old Year's Night at Highgate Bar, Dash Valley, St. George. Watch the fireworks, dance under the stars, or ring in the new year with your favorite bottle and friends in the table zone. Free Q Punch from 8 until 10 p.m. This Old Year's Night, dress your best and head to Highgate Bar from 8 p.m. until you say when. It's a big people party. This Old Year's Night, music by
my goals on what it is I plan to do.
You sound as though you are very intentional on determining who you associate with and the people who you call friends. Am I reading you correctly?
Yes, you are.
And what is it that led you to be that intentional? Because, you know, you meet people along the way and you build a cadre of friends and they're all diverse. But then you're saying, no, I want similar. I want similar. What is it that caused you to reach that particular point of view?
I think that, and this is not me wanting to be offensive to anyone. I hope no one takes this as an offense. But I think that when it is you surround yourself with people who have the same common goal as you, or who share a purpose like you, or who have steps towards that purpose that are similar to yours, you surround yourself with people that will help you grow, that will help you become a better individual, a better you. And so when it is you tend to see yourself, I guess, changing, not for the good, but for the bad, like you don't recognize yourself anymore, you look at yourself and you say, all right, listen, there's a change that needs to be made. And eventually you start to say, okay, this person isn't helping in any way that I would like them to help me. And I'm not saying just to use someone as benefit, you know, but having someone in your space is allowing them to be there with you through your trials and tribulations, be there with you through your good times. And so you want to be able to share your life with people who understand you well and who want to see you as the best you.
I'm so impressed as to where you are at 21 years old and the resolve about life that you already have. This is truly inspiring. And so, because oftentimes we see people your age and perhaps a little bit younger as well who find themselves in cliques who are not necessarily positive. And so I'd like you, as articulate as you are, to be able to talk to them this morning, these young people who are trying to decide with what group they want to associate. Give them some good advice, and I know your Christianity is going to help you to be able to say this. So tell me a little bit about the advice you give to young people today in choosing who to associate with.
I would say associate yourself with people who don't get you out of character. And I don't mean necessarily like don't get you out of your comfort zone. It's good to come out of your comfort zone and try new things, but when I say get you out of your character, I mean make you act a way that you yourself never thought that you would act. Get to know people who would uplift you, who would be there for you when you know that you would have a lowest at the lowest moment. And so, as I was speaking about purpose before, I believe that God has a purpose for us all, and you don't want to leave the earth not fulfilling your purpose. You want to be able to say, I did God's will, you know.
Yes.
And I don't mean to preach. So you want to be able to say, okay, this person helped me in achieving my purpose, and I'm grateful to them. Because at the end of the day, as you mentioned community before, you really can't do much things by yourself. As much as people would say they only need their self, at some point you would need somebody, and then it would grow into a community. And so when you work together, you just get this great end result.
You know, you really truly live up to your last name, Noble. You are such a noble person and you have such a noble cause as well. So I really want to celebrate who you are truly as a person, but also celebrate what you've been able to achieve and what you will be achieving as well. So with Christmas Day just a few days away, when you wake up on Christmas morning, what's the food you want to eat first of all?
Okay, so excuse me for my broken language, but I can't wait to eat the ham, the turkey, the drink, the sorrel, I want the pasta. I want everything.
I love it. And you were so glad to be home to get it in true Trinidadian style indeed. Jafia Noble, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You are quite fun, but you're also quite exceptional. And it's for that reason we wanted to have you on our show this morning on Morning Barbados to celebrate who you are and to show the rest of the world that excellence also resides in the Caribbean. Excellence comes from Trinidad and Tobago, but that excellence can also be very rooted in spirituality, in God. And we can see the purpose and live our best selves as we live out God's purpose for us here on earth as well. And so I bow to you this morning and I thank you so much for joining us, one exceptional young lady from Trinidad and Tobago. All the best.
Thank you so much, and all the best to you as well, and Merry Christmas to you and the rest of the staff. I hope it is enjoyable. Yes.
Thank you very much indeed. Jafia Noble, a Femlet's cohort from Trinidad and Tobago. What a solid head she has on her shoulders indeed. We're taking a break right here. We're coming back with the news and more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
In the news now, the human respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, currently wreaking havoc in the United States, is in Barbados. Chief Medical Officer, the Most Honorable Dr. Kenneth George, noted it's affecting people as he addressed a media conference at the Ministry of Health and Wellness yesterday.
We have found 5 cases of RSV, which has been in the news for the past 2 to 3 months in the United States. Those have occurred in younger persons, and I would like to report that there are no untoward issues with respect to those individuals.
Well, in other health alerts, the Chief Medical Officer also revealed that all COVID-19 protocols have been lifted. He called it the culmination of an extra-long journey, but the stakeholders have learned a lot over the past 2.5 years and have made the decision after careful consultations and study. However, he called on Barbadians to remain vigilant and to be their brother's keeper.
We still will take all precautions. We have not at one moment dismantled our COVID response. And indeed, we are acutely aware that we are also in the season of flu. And we are also keeping our attention on that. And I had recently reported to the press with respect to flu season.
Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Anton Best says even though fewer people have been coming forward to get tested, there has been a slight increase in COVID-19 cases locally, with Omicron continuing to be the dominant variant. He revealed that in the week of December the 12th to 18th, there were 318 cases, compared with 317 the week before.
When we look at the proportion of positive PCR tests in Barbados, we see that the current positivity rate is 22% in that week that I mentioned earlier, compared to 20% the previous week. The R effective, which is one of the key metrics to determine the rate of growth, is essentially like a multiplication factor. So we want this number to always be less than 1, so the epidemic is not growing. But we are seeing that the R effective is just over 1. So the epidemic has been growing over the last couple of weeks.
According to Dr. Best, there was one more death this past week, bringing the total to 569. He's also reporting an increase in the number of COVID-19 related hospitalizations.
We see that there was an increase in the past 2 weeks from 11 cases per day to an average of 19 cases per day. And over the last 3 weeks, the average is approximately 10 persons a day being admitted to hospital. Of the 19 admissions, these that I mentioned previously, this represents about 6% of all of the cases that have been detected. In terms of occupancy levels at the Harrison's Point facility, occupancy remains relatively low. On the 18th of December, we had 25 persons in Harrison's Point, and this represented 13% of the current available beds.
As government moves to build out the renewable energy sector, it is continuing to ensure the legislative aspects reflect the needs or address any concerns. Leading off debate in the Electric, Light and Power Amendment Bill in the Upper House yesterday, Energy Minister Senator Lisa Cummins spelled out the changes and the improvements that follow.
What we have done here is to establish the mechanism that did not previously exist in Section 5.4 of the legislation, the principal legislation as amended in 2019, to provide for interested parties to object. Now, why was this done? And I have had an opportunity since joining the ministry a few weeks ago to meet with all of the agencies that fall under this legislation, whether it was the Barbados Light and Power, whether it was the Fair Trading team, whether it was the Ministry of Energy team, whether it was the advisory team and the consulting team. We have had the opportunity to hear how the legislation is supposed to interact, not just with this, but the broad energy agenda of the country.
In her contribution to the debate, Independent Senator Dr. Christina Hines questioned the efficacy and timing of the amendment. Noting a new energy framework is on the horizon, she suggested all the changes could be reflected in that one document alone.
This amendment does not deal with the supply of electricity. It does not deal with how electricity is being generated. It is dealing with the licensing process, and it is really dealing with representations and objections being made during the licensing process, and what those persons who make representations or object can or cannot see. They cannot see things that are confidential if the minister, after consulting with the committee, agrees that there are certain things that should remain confidential. That is all this amendment does. And if this is such a small thing in a way, could it not wait? So this is more about us, as Senator Drake said, coming here over and over to amend a piece of legislation.
Well, that's our news until now. We'll have more news at 12 noon in the CBC Newsday right here on TV8. Morning Barbados continues in just a moment.
Rocking around the Christmas tree, have a happy holiday.
So, I'm Sam.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nadia. And we're from the television's production department at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Wishing you a Merry Christmas
and a Happy New Year.
Season's greetings.
And I all body hand.
Me too.
All body hand. All body hand.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will try.
10 minutes after 7 o'clock right here on Morning Barbados. What you just heard is some of the work of our next guest. You actually saw his face before I did, indeed. Kyle Corbin is a British Barbadian composer, orchestrator and arranger. He joins us now on Morning Barbados as another one of our exceptional young people in the world. Good morning to you, Kyle.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Oh, wonderful. You're British Barbadian.
Yes.
When you recognize what that means, what does it mean to you?
Well, I was the first of my family to be born outside of Barbados, so I very much class myself as British. And funnily enough, every time I come back to Barbados, there's always someone to recognize me as British by my very English voice. But I've spent a lot of my life in Barbados. This is actually, I'm currently in Barbados, and this is the 7th time I'm visiting, so I definitely have a home here, for sure.
So what does it mean for you coming to Barbados?
For me, the most valuable part of coming back really is just, reconnecting with family and friends that I haven't seen for a long time. Like, it's been, I think, 3.5 years since the last time I was here. So it's really, really great to just reconnect with family and friends that most often don't know that I'm here, as is in Barbados. You just
so
bump into people on the street.
You give them a surprise. They say, hey, Kyle, you're here. This is great.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
Are you one of those who, when you return to Barbados, you have to go to the beach?
Yes, every time. Yeah, I love to see that.
Which is your favorite beach?
And the last one we visited was Rockley, and I think the sunsets there are my personal favorite, like without a doubt. Like the pictures, I love taking pictures of sunsets personally, and the pictures I get there are second to none. They're gorgeous.
Wow, fantastic. Back in the UK, though, when people look at your last name, your surname, and they see Corbin, do they ask questions?
Well, I think most often they spell it incorrectly. Like
B-Y-N.
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. Constantly, and even after I correct them, they still manage to spell it wrong. So I do have to them on several occasions, but it comes and it goes.
But the conversation must be, okay, so if it's spelled B-I-N, where are you from? And they ask you that question, and then you say,
well, I'm from Barbados. So I think I introduce myself as that quite a lot. So yes.
Wow. I like the fact
I wear
that
it on my heart.
There you go. I love that, because you're born in the UK, but you are a Barbadian at heart. And that makes all of us Barbadians very, very proud indeed. But from a very young age, you discovered that you had a particular very special gift. What was it?
Yes, so when I was young, I started playing the piano. I started playing it at 6 years old, and since then, I've just leapt into my musical potential, really.
Yeah. I mean, to be able to do what you did at that very young age, just playing by ear. Me, I try to read the notes. I try to understand what it is. But here it was, you were able to hear it, and reproduce it immediately. And I'm sure your parents looked at you and thought, who's this little one in our house doing this? What was their reaction when they found you being able to do what you can do so well?
I mean, I owe my musical success really to them, because they just pushed me forwards and upwards. Like, at that age, there's not really much. Obviously, you have dreams of music and stuff, but there wasn't really too far-fetched. And there I was, just enjoying what I was doing on the piano. And
yes,
I guess they saw the potential in me. So, yeah, here I am.
and here you are, because at age 13, you did something phenomenal. You were able then to release your first full EP. So talk to me a little bit about that and what it meant for you, even at 13 years old, to be able to achieve what you've been able to achieve.
So I was always, constantly like pressing buttons, seeing how things worked. On a keyboard, pressing buttons, seeing how things worked. And at a young age, I guess I realized that I could be one of those artists that I'm constantly listening to that makes their own music. So I guess I just started experimenting, and I started experimenting for a very, very long time. And I kind of realized that all this music that I'm making is just sitting there on a cloud on the internet somewhere, and it's not really going anywhere to the public. So I was like, I should probably show this to people. And so I ended up releasing an album at 13 years old.
Wow. And having done that, when you did release it at 13 years old, what was the response and what did it mean to you to be able to do so?
I mean, it was quite tough actually as a 13-year-old, because you make music as that young teenager who is going through school, as I'm sure you can imagine. And, you try and showcase your talents to your schoolmates. And it's tough sometimes because people don't really want to listen to someone who they barely know. So it was tough convincing people that I could, have a future in this art form. But I guess that for me, looking back, it definitely taught me how much I value my own art, my own talent, and my own music, because it showed how much I wanted that future. And so I carried on making music. And I mean, now in the year 2022, I have 7,500 listeners on Spotify.
Wow.
So that speaks for itself.
Wow. Is there any other composer, arranger who you are inspired by? And if so, who?
I think the two that inspire me the most are called Lorne Balfe and Michael Giacchino. And I think they're most well known for the Mission Impossible movie that most recently came out, and the Pixar movie The Incredibles, who I know is very popular. The two composers who wrote the music for those two movies have been a massive inspiration for me over the years.
Wow. And so in this inspiration, have you found yourself patterning until you found your own footing? Or did you say, you know what, I like what you do, I will tinkle in the genre, but not necessarily your style?
It's a bit of both, actually. Like, you hear certain things that inspire you and you're like, wow, I really wonder how they've done that. I want to recreate that in my own style. But then at the same time, because I'm only 19, so I have the youthful exuberance and the time to experiment. Like I said before, I have the time to experiment and basically do what I want, musically speaking. So yeah.
Are you hearing what I'm hearing, the piece of music? Are you hearing it too?
Yes, I am.
Tell me about that, because it sounds very cinematic. So tell me about it.
Yes. So the piece is called Injustice, and I wrote it midway through 2020. I actually wrote it a couple months after the death of George Floyd. And as I'm sure you can remember, there was a lot of outcry and outrage when that first came out in the media. And it was interesting for me as a young black man living in England because, well, it was kind of confusing because that is it sounds really cynical, but it's a harsh reality that I live in. It's very normal to hear that a black man has been killed by the police in America. And so the fact that all of this outcry, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was happy that it was being spoken about, but it was a very usual thing. And I was like, how do I process this while still explaining this daily living to people who might not understand it? And so the way that I found my way to do that was through writing that piece, which is called Injustice. And it's called Injustice because of the daily injustices that we as black people can live through sometimes that isn't always spoken about.
I'm always curious as to how you do that. How do you compose a piece like that? Is it from an emotional space and then suddenly the notes flow? Or is it something you heard in your head and you thought, let me just document it by notes on a piece of paper? How does it work? Because I experience it, but I don't know what you do to start that experience for me.
Of course. I mean, for me, it actually can be a bit of both, and it kind of depends on what the piece is. Like, I've written a lot of music, as you can probably imagine, and not all of it comes from that, like, incredibly deep emotional point, like the George Floyd piece did. But in a piece like that, yes, it will come from that emotional, like, background, and I will think, this is how I feel, and how this is the story that I'm approaching it with. How do I tell the story that is in my heart through this piece of music? And then I will just flow, basically. But sometimes, it's just having an idea in my head and just getting it down as quickly as possible and just going with it.
So, to have created that piece, for instance, how long would it have taken? You said you just flow, and if you're just flowing, it just comes to an end within 5 minutes, or is it a work that takes you hours, for instance?
I mean, to put it into perspective, like as I said, I've come back to Barbados for Christmas this year. And as you can imagine, man, the music in this country just doesn't stop. I love it. It puts you in the Christmas mood so quickly. And so a lot of time when I've been here at home, just relaxed and having not much to do, I've just sat down and started writing. And I've started writing some like orchestral versions of Christmas songs with my spare time. And I think since I've been here, I think I've written 4 because I can finish them in about 3 to 4 hours, like fully orchestrated pieces. It's just something I can do. And it stems from talent that you mentioned earlier of being able to play by ear, because when I first started writing music, I had to sit at a piano and like hear what I was playing. But because I've now been writing for about 4 years, like orchestral compositions, I can now just hear instrumentally, I can hear the notes in my head, and so I just basically write. And so the Christmas compositions I've written have taken me no more than 3 or 4 hours, really, because it's just fun. I love it. It's what I do.
Clearly you do, because that's truly outstanding. It's beyond me. How you can hear the bass notes, how you can hear whether this is for treble, all of those things you hear all at once, and you create the color that makes music enjoyable for all of us. Now, at the moment, you're studying at Huddersfield as well, the university there at Huddersfield. Now, I know the Huddersfield Choral Society, the group, the choir. The choir is outstanding. Are you a part of that, by the way? Are you a part of that?
I wish. When I joined last year, singing is actually one of the few musical things that I don't have the muscle to flex. My dad actually is a very, very good singer. So from a young age, I had that influence. But when I went to uni for the first time, my sight reading wasn't incredible. So like I know how to read music, but I'm not very fast. There are people out there who can just read music like that, like they're reading a book. It's insane. I'm not one of those people. So I wanted to get better at it, and singing is one of the best ways to do that. So I joined the choir for a year, and they are incredible, man. Oh my goodness, man, the sound that they produce is next to none. It is gorgeous.
I know for a fact, the Huddersfield Choral Society, indeed. So they're there now studying. You're pursuing your music for film and screen.
Yes.
So how different is that from what you do when you're just having fun? How different is that course of study from that?
It's very different. Like, writing music for writing music's sake is very different than writing music for a scene that is in front of you. I think, and it kind of actually falls back on that conversation we were having a couple of minutes ago with the emotional versus the free, where with a free composition, you just, like I said, you just flow, you write whatever comes into your head. But with one of those emotional pieces or with one of those scenes, you have to depend on the story that you're telling. And when it comes to writing music for a scene, you have to. The challenge for me personally is writing a score that is for the people that are going to see it, and not just writing music that I like. Like, if I was writing a piece of music for a scene that well, for a movie, and all of the music was just music that I liked, I'm not sure many people would enjoy the movie because, you know, I would for sure. But you know, you have to write music with the audience that's going to watch the movie in mind. So it's very, very different, the approach to writing music.
Mm-hmm. So would it require you then to read the script and watch the scene before you score it, or you just look at it and you get it immediately?
Well, yeah. It's very much like the first one. Like, one thing I've learned this year, there's a reason that they come one of the first credits you see in movies, because it's known in the film world that they're almost the last writer, because they have the ability to completely change like them. That's actually one of the biggest reasons I got into writing music for film, is because watching movies as a kid, the reason the composer I mentioned earlier, Michael Giacchino, he's known by people as the Disney composer because he's written the majority of Pixar movies. And when I was watching those movies as a kid, I was like, this music really had, like, if this music was different, this scene would be so, like, different. Like, I would be reacting to this suddenly, but because the way it is, because it's so happy, because it's so sad, because it's so dark and evil and scary, I am now scared, or I'm so happy, or I'm so sad. And that captivated me as a child. I was like, this is so cool that somebody has sat there writing this and having the ability to completely change my outlook on this movie. And I wanted to be that guy. So
well done.
Yeah.
But you know, and the wonderful thing is that the world has evolved to the point now where people like yourself who are scoring for film and screen, you're being recognized, your work is being acknowledged, and now you are becoming just as important as the star, the one who acted. And what does that mean for your future now? Have you looked at your future? Have you painted what that will look like?
It's made me very, very happy seeing the progression of, well, not just music, but just arts in general over the last couple of years. Especially during the pandemic. I think the pandemic was a weird one for creatives because everybody was indoors, they spent more time on social media, and so they watched us, basically, whether it was artists, whether it was painters, whether it was musicians. We were all just doing things because we were locked in our houses with our crafts. And so it gave us the ability to just, do it for fun. And so I think the world has now almost turned on to the art behind the stuff that they watch. And so I'm really looking forward to, it's not personal recognition, but like the recognition that musicians get, because it is, I'm going to be honest, it can be quite low, but I am happy that it is on the rise.
Yes. And I ask that specifically because, you know, there are lots of people like yourself, some who are probably younger than you too, who are passionate about music. And then you meet some parents who have a different plan, you know, and because of that parental plan, you find yourself rafting through life. But here it is, you found your footing, you're just 19 years old, and you have the full support of your parents. And so you're able to achieve the kinds of things that you've been able to achieve. Where can people get access to the music that you've already released?
Yes, so I am on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, pretty much any digital music streaming platform. If you're on it, I will be there under the name Kyle Corbin, as you've seen.
If you're on it, you will be there. I love it. You meet the people where they are, they meet you too where you are as well.
Yes,
and so
exactly.
How long will you be in Barbados for?
We're here till the 30th. We're flying back for Old Year's Night.
Oh, you're going to miss the last part of the year, man. You're going to miss it. What are you looking forward to most on Christmas morning?
Well, this is actually my first Christmas in Barbados. So though I've spent a lot of time of my life here, I've never been here for Christmas. And so even in England, we have a very Bajan Christmas. So the food is plentiful. We don't stop eating. We're eating in January. But like, honestly, I am so looking forward to the food here. Like, man, I know for a fact I'll be well fed in Barbados. Like, the food here just tastes better. It just does.
Yes.
Like, it's more flavorful.
So what's your favorite Bajan food?
And it's not necessarily a Bajan food, but when I'm looking forward to Christmas, it's the ham I'm looking most forward to. It's my favorite thing on the plate. Oh, wow. I love it. It's a luxury for me.
I am telling you, it's going to be fantastic. You will have a jolly time while you're here. And if you can, I'm not so sure, I think they may have Christmas in the park, you know, Queen's Park in town. And if you saw the Barbados Police Service Band, other performers and other groups will be there as well. Take some time early Christmas morning once you finish church. Hint, hint.
Absolutely.
And you go over to the park and enjoy some really great Bajan music indeed. And who knows, maybe you can be orchestrating some other pieces for us here on the island as well. Listen, Kyle Corbin, you are such an inspiration indeed. Thank you for spending the time with me. Enjoy your holiday. As a Barbadian, we are super proud of you for what you've been able to do thus far and for what we know you will be doing. We'll be watching all the credits on upcoming screen films to see your name, because we know that you'll be a part of it all. This big blockbuster is coming out soon. Kyle, all the best indeed. Enjoy your holiday.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
You're welcome. Likewise to you indeed. Kyle Corbin, who is an exceptional Barbadian, what an exceptional young man as well. We're coming back after this.
Minister Sangster Smith.
Mr. Speaker, before I move the motion, I cannot leave this sitting without giving a big thumbs up to the youths that I have worked with from my constituency, Southwestern St. Elizabeth, who have made the 2022 Cornwall County project a reality. Business over badness. Mr. Speaker, I must say St. Best is best. Inevitably ameliorates. Make money the subject and you see more students at the front of the class instead of the back. Mr. Speaker, I am not Rising King, obviously. But the new education policy that the Ministry of Investment, Industry and Commerce is proposing is indeed tough. I thank you.
There's a lot of passionate flow from Jamaicans, isn't there? A lot of passion indeed. See that young man right there? We'll meet right now. He's been with us before. But it's good to see once again Joseph Sangster Smith. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning once again. So happy to be back.
We saw you in action, my brother. And there you are now at the 13th sitting now. You are the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce and the Deputy Government Speaker of the House. Titles galore. What does it mean for you to be able to offer your services in those ways in the Youth Parliament of Jamaica?
Well, it means a lot it just gives me the opportunity to voice my concerns on some of the issues that young persons are facing in Jamaica. During my debate speech, I mentioned that 33% of the overall population in Jamaica, 33% alone are financially literate, and that is not good. And when you look at the statistics, the 33% of persons who are financially literate are of ages 45 and older. And that just goes to show that young persons in my country don't really understand how to budget, how to manage their finances, and understand the mere basics of economics. And I would love to see that change. So I'm just highlighting that from now. So, other persons who are seeing that issue or having that issue can also be reminded to act and also be a part of the vision that I have for my country and for the young persons in my country to actually be a part of the change.
And so they're going to sit back and look and say, but you are the Youth Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, and they want you to come up with proposals and plans. Have you already sat with your little cabinet and decided what are those policies and plans?
Yes, the policy was TOUGH. TOUGH is an acronym which stands for Teaching You Financial Fundamentals. That was the main policy in my debate speech. I mean, the main concept behind that policy is inviting persons who are recording artists to visit various high schools across the island and probably make performances or create catalogs of songs where the song lyrics compile of different financial information or something related to economics and finance. So it can be more not only entertaining but educational at the same time, because you have to know how to reach out to my age group with certain information, especially when it comes to managing money. It doesn't have to be boring. It can be entertaining when you learn how to understand both finance and economics.
Interesting. So you're trying to take the message in a way that it connects immediately with the receiver, who are the young people who you're trying to reach as well. In terms of being able, because Jamaica is such a vast place, being able to find them where they are, to get into their space, to talk to them. How do you intend and what do you propose to be able to achieve that?
Well, like I mentioned, you have platforms such as YouTube, which my age group already uses. But, traditional schooling is not the way. That's not what we see in the future. That's not what we're aiming for. There are other means. Also, a part of the TOUGH program, the policy that I was mentioning in my debate speech, is an online dictionary where you can also search up words, a part of that dictionary, to understand the vocabulary surrounding finance better. We need to use technology more. We need to use more modern day means of how to reach out to young people so that they can be better equipped. I mean, it's not good. Money is involved in everything that we do, every single thing. And it's not how much you get, but actually how much you keep.
Not how much you get, but how much you can keep. Well said, Joseph. And so when you sit as one of the youth parliamentarians and you look to what we call now the real parliamentarians in the House of Assembly and see what they do and you critique the approach that they take, give me your assessment of the Jamaica House of Assembly.
Well, as you would already know, our political system is copied off of the English Westminster model, because just like Barbados, we were once colonies of England. So there are various debate topics. One was on housing, the other was on mental health, and the other was on, well, it's four topics: financial literacy, mental health, housing, and I can't recall the other topic at this point in time. But you have the opposition, you have the government side. So there's a prime minister, there's the opposition leader, and they're ministers of government, the opposition spokespersons, whether it be on sports or health. In my case, it was investment, industry, and commerce. There's a Ministry of Finance. There's a Speaker of the House. I was Deputy Speaker of the House, and so on.
What does it mean to you to have been selected to serve as a minister and deputy speaker?
It means, I was in total shock when I was selected to be both, not only a minister on the government side, but a deputy speaker. And not everybody who is selected to sit in parliament gets the opportunity to speak. So, over 130 persons were to be youth parliamentarians or junior MPs. Out of that 130 plus, 70 get selected to sit in the House of Parliament, Garden House. Out of the 70, only 18 of the 70 are given the privilege of stating a concern with a policy, of course, because you can't just speak and share the solution. You state the problem, but you have to have a solution to the problem. And to speak in the House of Parliament, sleepless nights, yes, you're in a very comfortable hotel room, but you're working towards a goal, and that goal is to better various situations or concerns that, persons in my country are facing, and especially young persons at that.
You're one of the few, literally one of the few who've been selected to serve at the level of which you do in the Youth Parliament of Jamaica. Now, are you also eyeing elective politics in Jamaica?
To be very honest, persons back home do see that in me. I have took on the leadership roles, various leadership roles, not from a very young age, as I would mention earlier in the last interview, but I've been taking more and more onto my plate because of what persons see in me and because of the passion I have in just not only helping others, but being the change that you wish to see in the world. Because at the end of the day, if nobody else does it and you see something that needs to be done, then you have to do it, because it's not only about doing it for yourself, but it's for others as well. Hence, I'm being a part of the Interact Club, where I got the saying from service above self. I do hold that very close to my heart, and I do believe in that, because everybody should at some point in their life put others before themselves.
So your answer to me is yes, you are actually interested in pursuing elective politics. Am I correct?
We'll see. We'll see.
Spoken like a true politician indeed. We shall see. So at 22 years old, you're very focused, you're very aware of what it is that you're wanting to see, the change that you want to see. And so at the university at Mona, what is it that you're studying?
Well, I'm studying international relations, which
Relations.
focuses a lot on politics.
Yes, you see? So naturally it flows. I'm getting closer and closer to yes, coming from your lips, indeed, Joseph. But, at 22 years old, you could have been out playing football, following the game, and becoming a successful sportsman or anything else. But you've settled in this space. Why have you settled for what you're doing?
It's just the passion. At the end of the day, there's a next thing which I'm going to share is if you don't do what you like, then you're not going to be happy at all in life. You're supposed to love what you do. You're supposed to have a passion for what you do. The passion is what's going to motivate you every single day. Persons are not going to get up every day and just say, hey, and encourage you continuously. No. You have to wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, and find your own self-motivation, your own self-encouragement. That's how you move forward. And what it is that you like, what it is that you do, what it is that you enjoy doing, that is what's going to just involuntarily motivate you.
That is such sage
That have a passion
advice.
for it.
Yeah, that's such sage advice, not just for young people, but for every one of us, really, whatever age it is. Wake up and be passionate about the thing that you like to do. Look yourself in the mirror and be honest and say, you know what? I'm not good at this. I'm better at that. And that is what I shall pursue. And just do it. Because out of it, you will find that you will always be your best self. You will always be happy and content at the end of the day, regardless of whatever reward there is, because you know you have done to your best. And so that's you, Joseph. This is really commendable. Joseph, what do you do for fun?
Well, I like to read the newspaper. Yes, I'm that old school. I'm that old school. If it's not the newspaper, well, I do watch Netflix from time to time as a young person
Yes,
used to do anime, or I like to hang out with friends. I love going out. I love to socialize. I love getting to know people, and going out is the main thing, and reading, and watching series. That's me, and exercising as well in the mornings.
Very good, very good. What's your view of the Caribbean in totality? Because, I mean, being at Mona, you have a melting pot of peoples of the Caribbean and the world there. What's your view of the future of the Caribbean, not just politically, socially, economically as well? Paint that for me.
Well, I mean, look at Barbados. They're making strides in, standing out in terms of stepping away from, not just being independent on paper, but becoming a republic fully in the Caribbean. And the most honorable Mia Motley would have made a statement at a conference that surrounded the topic of the climate change issues that various countries in the Caribbean are facing, and she expressed her disappointment that certain countries from the Caribbean not being present to share their concerns and so on. So the future looks bright for the Caribbean, not only with what I've seen and experienced firsthand as a member of the National Youth Parliamentarian of Jamaica, but what the government ministers of the Caribbean are also doing for their fellow countrymen. So I do believe that there is indeed hope, and there is indeed a bright future for the Caribbean once we continue on this path. You have also a young man who I know personally that is from Barbados, who writes some interesting articles from time to time, Nick Peters. You had a young girl not too long ago on this very same program from Trinidad. And it goes on, the list goes on. There are so many outstanding young people, so the future is indeed bright for the Caribbean.
You opened the door to talking about becoming a republic. Now, the government of Jamaica has decided to explore that. What's your view of Jamaica becoming a republic?
Well, it's about time. It's about time. A lot of Jamaicans have been waiting. I mean, it's about time. I do believe that we should take the necessary steps involving to taking this action more seriously, because at the end of the day, I don't think a lot of Jamaicans understand the potential that the island has. If there is no potential, then why is there so many foreign investors finding their way, taking this resource, that resource, hiring our fellow countrymen, and just using up this and that, various resources that we have? What is the word now? Infinite. We have a lot of resources that we can make use of. We don't have to import certain products. We don't have to import certain services from abroad. They're right there. And I think that governments in the past have made the mistake and overlooked that, or it could be just the mere reason behind it could be just greed. I'm not sure. But there are so many treasures and things we can make use of on the island, that we can stand up on our own 2 feet and form good relationship with other countries, yes, but we don't have to accept every offer that comes to our table. We can renegotiate and say, hey, how can the country benefit more from this conversation? We can stand on our own 2 feet when it comes to a lot of things. Not everything, but a lot of things. So I do believe in Jamaica becoming a republic.
And as you said, it's up. There you go. That's it. It's about time. I love it indeed. A 22-year-old man. What a powerful exchange we've just had with you. Joseph Sangster-Smith. He is the Deputy Speaker in the Youth Parliament there in Jamaica. He's also the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce. An outstanding young man indeed. We wanted again to salute you, Joseph, to hook up with you to get your further perspective on things. I wish you only the merriest of Christmases, and I hope that 2023 is quite the success that we know it will be for you as well. Thank you for joining us again this morning on Morning Barbados.
It's a pleasure having me once again. Merry Christmas again, Barbados, and a Happy New Year when it comes.
All the best indeed. Thank you so much. Joseph Sangster-Smith of Jamaica, one of the ambassadors as well, but 22 years old. What an inspiration indeed. A break, and when we come back, beer fun down the road. We're going to be unscrambling some words.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
The CBC That Made Us, featuring programming from yesteryear, which impacted the lives of many Barbadians. Join me, Sean Green, taking you back to some of your favorite shows from the late 70s, 80s, and 90s during the series The CBC That Made Us, every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. and repeated on Fridays, 11:30 a.m. The CBC That Made Us.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Season's greetings from the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade, or come in and sign up for our new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
It's the event to end the year. Q in the community.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
7 to 8 o'clock, I have something really heartwarming to share with you in just a minute. But as I told you, time for us to unscramble some Christmas words. You ready for this? 228-5562 or 228-5563. Look on your screen and tell me, this should be easy. This should be so easy, it's beyond words. So tell me the word you see. Tell me, quickly. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Share with me when you unscramble these letters, the word that you see. I'm trying to work it out in my head as well as I watch. So tell me the word you see on your screen from these scrambled letters when you unscramble them. And let's see where we go. 228-5562 or 228-5563. I have such a story to share with you right after. Good morning. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. Hello. How are you?
I'm good, Pearson. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Thank you. And the very same to you and yours.
Since you came back from vacation.
So then send me on another vacation so I can come back. You're looking even more dapper. But thank you very much indeed. What word do you see on your screen?
I see eggnog, something I haven't drunken in a long time.
You drink eggnog?
Yeah, the last time I drank it was a couple of years ago.
Does it have alcohol in it?
Yes, a lot. The guy that made it, he's passed now.
Are you happy with
The
the amount of, you like the alcohol?
Hey, it tastes real good.
With the alcohol?
Mm-hmm.
Look at you, at
I
least you're
don't drink
honest.
alcohol, but for Christmas I would take the exception.
You would take the exception.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You're
It's
absolutely
from
right.
Princeton's Road.
Sorry?
Stones.
It helps. I missed what you said. Sorry.
This is your friend Sonia from Beacons Road, a.k.a. Big Sonia.
Yes, girl. Go there. Have a Merry Christmas here, Sony.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
All your staff. The females at CBC are exceptionally sweet.
Wow. We're
Alicia,
thankful.
Diane, all of them. And
Yes.
the guys too. But y'all hold everything together.
Thank
So
you,
Merry
Sonia. We
Christmas.
really appreciate that. Likewise, you indeed. Likewise. Thank you, Sonia. All the best. All right. Another one is on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Another set of jumbled letters for you to unscramble. Unscramble them fast. I want to get to share with you this really feel-good story. So tell me quickly, what word do you think you can make when you unscramble the word in front of you on your screen at the moment? 228-5562 or 228-5563. Call me now. Tell me the word you see when you unscramble the letters on your screen. Sony just got the first one right, which was eggnog. But what is this one? It also... Nah, I'm not going to give you that hint. I leave that to work out yourself. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Remember, all of these words relate to the Christmas experience. So whatever it is, you know it has to be one of those Christmassy words. Those words you hear at this time of year all the time. So let's see if we get this one right. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm well too. Thank you for asking. You got this word yet for me?
I think it's manger.
You think it's manger, but what is the word?
Manger.
Sure?
Yes.
What do you know about a manger? Nothing.
I don't know anything about a manger.
No? So what do you know about a manger?
I've never seen one in real life, but I've read the story in the Bible.
Really? Where in the Bible have you read that story? What book and chapter, page even? Tell me.
It's in Luke, and it's in Matthew, but I don't know the exact chapter.
All right, fair enough. I will live with that for you, from you indeed. But thank you. Merry Christmas to you, okay?
Merry Christmas to you, person.
Thank you so much indeed. Manger is spot on. Right. We don't have time, do we? We need to take a break. I want to share the story. There's a sweet story I have to share with you. What? Tell me, crew, in my ear. We shall take a break. Okay. Now we got it. There's a lovely lady in Philadelphia. She was 100 years old. And so one of the dreams that she's had was to meet the first black First Lady of the United States of America. And guess what happened? Take a look.
Oh my goodness! You're my wish. My wish. Oh, my sweetheart. Oh my goodness. I want to say to you. When you come to the house, I go to her and say, Yeah. You just let me touch and you could beat me up all you want. And I never in a million years would meet you. You so
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
you look so beautiful.
You look so pretty.
Oh my goodness.
So remember that I said, I don't care what she beat me up as long as she didn't touch me.
I would never harm you too. Oh my goodness. Did you enjoy the conversation?
Oh,
yes.
You were wonderful. Wonderful.
And you so
Thank you for that.
We need more people like you. Oh my goodness.
You the first lady and the best first lady that's ever been there.
Oh,
and I will be 100 years old, and that's what I can say.
Oh, I want to be like you when I grow up.
That's what they're going to tell me in my church.
There's nothing. I wanted more for my birthday. Oh my, I'm so happy. I got it.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Rocking around the Christmas tree. Have a happy holiday.
So, I'm Sam.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nadia. And we're from the television's production department at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Wishing you a Merry Christmas
and a Happy New Year.
Season's greetings.
And I all body hand.
Me too.
All body hand. All body hand.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.ve. And together we will travel the world.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We are out of time. Gotta say thank you so much for joining us this morning. Looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow, Friday. Until then, everybody, be good to yourself. No one else has the power to make you happy. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Season's greetings from the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to